Tonight is a historical night. For the first time ever, we have Adolf Hitler, Charles de Gaulle, and Dwight Eisenhower all gathered in one place. I'll be interviewing them all together, and first Adolf Hitler, but there might be some drama later in the show, if all goes to plan. Ladies and gentlemen, we have an excellent program planned tonight. Tonight in the show, we'll be featuring Adolf Hitler himself, and later Charles de Gaulle of the French military, and Dwight Eisenhower, General of the United States military. Ladies and gentlemen, as promised, Adolf Hitler. Adolf, how are you doing tonight?
I'm doing pretty well. How about you?
I'm doing great myself. So, first question is, we were regarded as one of the most highly advanced military strategists of all time, and the audience is wondering, when you got to the Maginot Line, how did you intend to cross it when you were invading Paris?
Well, you know, us Germans are pretty strategic, and the French are kind of stupid. Anyway, we just went by ground and by air through the Ardennes forest. You know, it seems like a pretty simple and logical thing to do, and you know, we got there and just, bam, blitzkrieg.
Absolutely. So, once you were in Paris, obviously you wanted to make it seem like you were in charge. Could you elaborate on your actions that really put you up top as top dog?
Well, I mean, like any good conqueror, I hang my flags everywhere, so, you know, everyone knows who's top dog, right? Mm-hmm. I mean, you've all seen that very iconic picture of me in the Eiffel Tower. Personal favorite. It's in my favorites. I don't know, set curfews, you know, just the usual kind of thing. I kind of pitied the French just a little bit, so I let them have their own government, but let's be honest.
The Vichy rule, correct?
Yeah, I mean, it was a puppet government, because, you know, I have bigger fish to fry.
Absolutely.
But, you know, just like the usual kind of dominating stuff.
Makes sense.
Yeah.
Well, I understand a few of the people who have been, following your journey through World War II were a little bit confused as to why you wanted to take Paris. Could you maybe elaborate on your intentions with that move?
Well, I mean, for me, Paris France in general was just a stepping stone to get to Britain, because my intention was to dominate the world, because why wouldn't you? I ended up just blocking off all the ports so they couldn't get any resources to, like, the resistance in France. I don't know, seemed pretty strategic to me.
Absolutely. So, while you were in control of France, you had to at least be the tiniest bit concerned that someone was going to overthrow you, which eventually did happen. But while you were still in control, what was your greatest fear in Paris?
I mean, I think you kind of already said it. The Americans and the British coming in and trying to throw over my perfectly set up Paris, if you will. I mean, yes, they did come in the end, but it took them a lot longer than I thought it was going to.
Sure. Well, you might be surprised to know that just backstage we have two of your greatest enemies, Charles de Gaulle, the leader of the French resistance, and Dwight Eisenhower, General of the United States military.
Okay.
As I earlier promised, we now have Charles de Gaulle and Dwight Eisenhower here to talk with Adolf Hitler and myself. Welcome, gentlemen. Glad to have you on the show, Dwight, Charles. Tonight, my first question is for Charles. Charles, I was wondering, can you tell me what is your greatest feat as a military leader in France?
Well, yes. So
You know what? Stop you right there. I need to go and collect myself.
Drama enough on tonight's show.
So let me get back to the point after that piece of drama right there. So what I did as leader of France is I helped the French resistance movements. I was the face behind the all these movements.
Sure, yeah.
And through that, the French citizens provided first-hand information and maintained escape networks that helped all Allied soldiers in general.
Great. Gentlemen, please feel free to come closer as Hitler's gone backstage. Charles, I have another question for you. You had a weakened army at this point in the war. How did you ever intend on retaking Paris from the Nazis' great military power?
Well, now that you mention it, me and Dwight Eisenhower right here, I just had to work with him to help take over Paris.
Of course.
Yeah.
It took some convincing, but on August 22nd, I agreed to help with the liberation of Paris.
So, Dwight, you're regarded as one of the greatest military geniuses in all of history. Could you maybe tell us about what was your strategy when you were retaking Paris, and just how did you go about taking down the Nazis?
Thank you for the compliment, but in Paris, the plan of attack was having a division attack from the north and a division attacking from the south. And the plan of attack, the date of this attack was August 24th. And one of the divisions had crossed the River Seine and was able to make it into the Paris suburbs. And there we were met with a bunch of Paris families that were really excited to see us after about 4 to 5 years of German control.
Yeah. I have another question for you, Charles. Could you please tell me what made this time period the best time to retake Paris?
So yeah, at this time, our allies, the Soviet Union, they were invading Germany, and they were fighting Germany from the east, as well as the French workers were also going on strike during this time.
So, Charles, I was wondering, could you tell me what happened to all the Germans or the Nazi collaborators that were in Paris when the Allies took over?
When the war was over and the Germans were expelled from France, the Nazi collaborators were the first to be prosecuted and punished for their crimes against the French nation. Some were even executed.
I see. Very brutal.
It was.
My final question of the evening is directed at Dwight Eisenhower. Dwight, could you elaborate on the significance of the date, August 25th, 1944?
So, on August 25th, 1944, in the morning, both divisions had finally made it into Paris, and Paris was in the process of being liberated. Charles de Gaulle told me that Paris could be taken over with no opposition. And this was a major step to Allied victory over the Germans in World War II.
I see. At this point in the show, I'd like to welcome back Adolf Hitler. We're going to be playing some games because some say that military strategy isn't even the only thing that defines a man. So we're going to do some other competitions to really see who deserved to win the war. Our first game of the night is a classic game of Pop-A-Shot. We have 2 contestants tonight. The first person to 6 baskets wins. It's Adolf Hitler versus Charles de Gaulle. 3, 2, 1, go. It's 1 for de Gaulle, 1 for Hitler, another for de Gaulle, another for Hitler, another for both teams. A close match. Hitler's in the lead. De Gaulle misses 1. Hitler. That's 6 baskets. The winner is Adolf Hitler. The second game is ping pong. You're familiar. You know the rules. Table tennis, whatever you want to call it. I'll be playing on Adolf's team to even it out versus Charles de Gaulle and Eisenhower, the Allied forces. So let's get this game going. Our final game of the night is pool, billiards, whatever you want to call it. It's tied up at this point. The Allies have a point and the Axis has a point. This will determine who's the winner of the late night show games, not the winner of the war. So let's take it away. I believe Hitler is the first shot. It's like a miss from Hitler. Lines up the Allies for an easy shot to win. Looks like you can't change history as the Allies have taken the victory once again over the Axis. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for tuning into the show tonight. We made history. We brought Adolf Hitler, Charles de Gaulle, and Dwight Eisenhower all into the same room and interviewed them. It's been an amazing show. I look forward to seeing you next week on Noah at Night.